Fellas, how you doing?
Great, how are you?
Was getting in okay, or was there cavity searches?
Cavity
There was a cavity search, and it was
yeah,
good.
wasn't long enough,
and
actually.
Sean's went back for seconds. And they said, we never had anybody come back for
good.
a second. It's not Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you're clean. Yeah.
He said, can I come back tomorrow to get cold leftovers?
Welcome to SmartLess.
Guys, take a breath and think about what this is about to be. It's fucking insane, you guys.
Yeah. Oh, are we rolling?
It's insane.
Do you guys have good questions?
I have a couple.
Sort of. I have areas.
Way to not prep.
I did prep.
I thought
I had a lot of conversations with people.
I've got 18 questions.
Oh, good. I'll just follow you.
I was not joking when I said I think it's good that we have questions, but I also want to entertain conversation
Let's just
and
make
listening.
it a conversation.
And through conversation, questions will come out.
Is that right?
I think so.
Oh boy.
So how are you guys feeling when you woke up today knowing that this was going to happen?
Are we
rolling
recording
yet?
right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
this is
here,
a whole
we can
different...
say where we are because
I got to
later,
put on my
right?
radio voice.
We can say where we are because it's
After the fact. Yeah, we're at the...
So we're here.
Don't say it! No, I'm kidding.
Well, we're here on
We're
Central
here on
Park
Central
South.
Park South
Yeah.
with a beautiful second-story view of the park. If
It's a little-
if second story is beautiful views, but
A little rainy.
Treetops is nice, a little
Yeah.
rainy.
Yeah.
And we very rarely have more than one guest. Sometimes we
We've
have
done it.
two.
When
We've-
were the times we did it?
No, we had...
double-
when you have bands on, a lot of time we have two
like
two guys
Billie
on.
Eilish and Finn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Radiohead.
Yeah, we had
Duran.
Killers.
Oh, no, that was just Simon.
Duran,
The
Depeche
Killers.
Mode.
The Killers.
Oh, the Killers.
Mode.
Depeche Mode, right. That was great.
And so today we're doing a first time. It's a little risky. There's three of them.
But it's kind of a band full of rock stars.
Bear
in a
with
way.
us. Yeah. It's like they're like the Police.
Yeah.
So you'll be familiar with one of them. The other two he wanted to bring along. I guess his buddies. He gets a little nervous. We've had him on the show before. He wanted to do it again.
They're
We were
guys
like,
he worked with, I guess.
Yeah, we don't really do repeat guests, but we made an exception here, and we certainly don't let people bring buddies. But he was insistent. And
Can I
I'm
just say?
excited.
I'm excited too. And can I just say, we're sitting here in this hotel room, as we've already said. It's 2024. 4 years ago, less than 4 years ago, we started doing this podcast. It was a COVID baby, as we call it.
came out of the gate with Dax Shepard.
Came out of the gate with Dax Shepard,
Cat-
which was
incredible
great. But I
guest.
set the bar
Yes.
high with Dax.
Yeah.
And then now here we are in New York.
4
All
years
these-
later,
4 years
scraping
later.
the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
And we're looking at
with a dude and his buddies.
We got Rob Armyarv, and
Armyarv.
we got Bennett Barbacow, and we got MGT, Michael the G Terry,
Yeah.
and we're all here in New York, and it's fucking wild, guys.
Yeah,
and,
we're all-
and I want to say
Yeah,
to
it's
you
pretty
guys,
cool.
this is cool. This
Yeah,
is
you
one
got to
of those
stop.
life moments,
You
right?
got to stop and recognize it.
Michael, I just want to say, Michael, how's it for you?
Delightful.
Delightful.
That's it.
Delightful. And I'm proud of us. We haven't screwed it up yet.
Bennett, what do you think? It feels,
It's amazing.
it's weird, right?
Yeah. Wow, these
weird.
adjectives are incredible.
We've been saying to take a breath.
Yeah.
Rob,
Yeah.
yell something from over there. How are you feeling?
Fantastic.
Okay.
That's Rob.
There we go.
Rob
So we
is
got
not-
amazing.
We did limit them each to one word.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did say.
And Rob doesn't even have a microphone. So it's thank you for your contributions.
We have been reminding
will-
ourselves to be present though and take a breath and
Yeah,
look at it.
It's
Take it
pretty
in.
cool.
Yeah.
Now, Will came up to get a ride with my guy that I sometimes hire for when I do a Broadway show.
Mikey,
My
who
driver,
drove,
Mikey
who drove
me.
when he was doing. Do you know Sean did a play on Broadway last year?
Jesus.
No.
Yeah,
What was it called?
And it was called "Go Get Me, Oscar." I think,
Right.
right? Or
And it was wasn't it wasn't it with the Topo Chico?
yeah, the Topo Chico theater.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and so he came. So Will, I said, "Do you want to ride?" Because I think Jason's really close to the hotel. So Will came straight up. The first thing, I put my pants on and I walked out to the living room with my shirt and my pants on. I reached in my pocket and I found money. I found like $30.
Sean,
Great story.
No, but here's the best part. Sean pulls out. He goes. He turns to Scotty and he goes, "Look at this." And we go, "What?" And he goes, He's got like $31. He goes, look at all this money. And we go, yeah. And I go, so the pants are clean. Obviously, today's a big event for you.
Yeah, exactly. So the dry cleaners
hasn't been here
dry
for 6
cleaners.
months.
I haven't been here for 6 months, so I just put these pants on, and I was like, "Oh, I guess I wore them."
And there was
out.
just the one pair of socks that you stole from a youngster you were babysitting, or I didn't.
I know you don't know where the skin ends and the sock starts.
You know, it's a fairly high class guest today. You didn't think you'd go with a full length sock,
I
and
was gonna
Will doesn't
do-
have socks at all on.
I
No,
know,
I
but that's
rarely
the way
do.
to go. I know I should have gone full length.
Shawnee, what do you decide? How do you
embarrassed.
decide what clothes stay here in your apartment in New York? Like, what's the math that you do on that?
I don't. I just there's like a couple t-shirts and clearly a couple pants and.
I mean, pants is a stretch. They're jeans.
no, they're not. They're pants.
Sorry, they're stretch jeans.
No,
I
no,
guess
no.
When I said stretch,
They look like jeans. They're dress pants.
They're a brushed cotton jegging.
Yes, thank you.
But they're
Just
in
like
a
the
5
jacket.
pant. But they're in a 5 pant cut.
Well,
I mean,
look
5
at
pocket
Jason.
cut.
Jason's in corduroys and a.
Yeah, but Jason. I mean, Jason looks like he's doing a whole different.
But I'm also living here, and I don't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
President of the United
Yeah, yeah,
States
yeah.
clothes with me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I
get
You
it.
look good. I said before, you look very rugged and sexy.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. I'm playing a guy that's made a lot of bad decisions.
You know what I like about your hair is long enough
Me
that when you're
too.
wearing the headphones right now, it's keeping the hair back, and you've got kind of like a European soccer player vibe. going.
He's slowly
And
winking
the
at
slow
you.
winks we could do without.
And they're half winks too.
God.
They're more lid squeezes.
That's so gross.
So you guys have. Do you have important questions loaded? Do you have fun
I
questions
have a
loaded?
little bit of both.
A bit of both.
You got some policy questions, perhaps?
Yeah, mine obviously have more to do with relations with Canada,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Are we gonna? Is that one of the borders we're closing? I hope not. Because how are we gonna get all our stuff across? Eh?
I'm still moving cigarettes.
Fuck, I don't care. I'm muling some of that sticky BC bud through the interior. I'm coming down through Fernie, BC. Okay, my brother found a good path last year.
Let's see what they have to say about
Sure,
that.
I want to hear what.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm sure they don't want to get into the micro of policy and stuff like that. They're not. They're. I'm sure they'd like us to find a middle ground between drive time radio
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
some
yeah.
hard hitting meet the press conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't. I don't know how to formulate those questions. I'm not.
Well, you know
polite
what's
enough.
interesting is that the three of them obviously are very connected, and they're all sort of from the same sort of class of Democrats. In that, right, that they were around. Obama was a rising star. President Biden's been around since the 70s. He was a senator, et cetera. Obama came up as this young star in the early 2000s. Nobody will forget his fiery speech at the Democratic Convention in 2004, how
Yeah,
amazing that
that was
was.
amazing.
So they're all part
Clinton
of the
was
same.
a governor, and
Clinton was a governor, and then he was a superstar back to
Arkansas,
back.
right?
Yes, Arkansas.
Thank
Good,
you.
Sean. But back to back, president of the United States. So they all, I think, have very. They're similar. My point is, they're similarly minded when it comes to sort of policy.
Yeah, for sure.
et cetera. And
Well, it's cool that they all are like together. I don't know that I've ever seen that or like witnessed that.
yeah,
Like,
I mean,
where
I don't.
all
You
these
didn't even
presidents
see
come
George
together.
W. and his dad together. You know,
didn't they?
Yeah.
But didn't the three of them get together for the last election a bit? Didn't they sort of?
You're thinking of the three tenors, I think.
These are not.
These are not. By the way, we have to do them next. If we don't do the three tenors right after this, I quit.
We should just start. Let's start the interview mistaking them for the three tenors. So when do you guys have you been in rehearsals long? Because the Radio City show tonight should be getting the acoustics.
We're
are
so
incredible.
excited for the sound.
What's your warm up like?
Will there be solos, or do you guys just
You
sing all
guys
the
are
songs
slimmer
together?
than I remember opera singers.
And your accents are
You are
fantastic.
really
yeah,
tremendous.
exactly.
Well, guys, I'm honored to be here, not just with them.
Same.
I'm honored to be here with you guys. This
Likewise.
momentous occasion, not just in the podcast, but in life.
Yes.
Tell me your name.
And I'm it's Will. It's still
Yes.
Will.
Well.
And I'm really psyched that I get to be here with you guys doing this.
Likewise.
This is fucking unreal.
It's
life
not
moment.
lost on me.
Yeah.
Not to pat ourselves on the back, but just say briefly, very proud of us that we haven't screwed this up yet, and that Mr. Biden called us again,
Yes.
and wanted to do this again, wanted to bring his
His
friend, like
pals.
just so flattered and humbled, and it's crazy.
Ditto to all of it. Here we go.
It's an all.
An all new super presidential
less-SmartLess.
All right, I'm over there, right?
We're just going to come in and adjust the microphones too. Yeah, thank you.
So headphones on, yeah?
So
Yeah,
you can
headsets
grab
on.
those headphones right there, please.
Okay.
And I'm gonna swing this in a little bit.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Mr. Clinton, have you done any time, Mr. Clinton, in Lake of the Ozarks?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because that's in your neck of the old woods there.
Yeah.
Do you want it up or down?
I spent a lot of time. I've been to every
Number 2, please.
voting precincts in the northern Arkansas Ozarks, and I had one of the presidents of Walmart
Sir.
Sure.
came from a little town
Pleasure to meet you.
in the Ozarks, near the Lake of the Ozarks, and I went up there, had a day for him, and I went up there once.
I can hear fine.
Okay, great.
So I've
You
moseyed
guys
around
hear
up
me?
there.
All good?
Well, but was that ever a vacation spot for you?
No, I didn't take any vacations up there. I was working up there, but I was up there all the time.
Delaware.
But
We
that's
were-
that's a big spot for folks in that part of the country.
Oh,
though,
yeah,
isn't
it's
it? Yeah.
really, it's breathtakingly beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, that lake gets a lot
I mean,
of
judging
work.
by your show, Jason, it seems like a pretty dangerous part of the world, too.
Well, we didn't really spend a lot of time
Vacation there.
Yeah, we didn't spend a lot of time with the nice part. You know,
Yeah,
not much of
sure.
a show in
My
that.
family vacationed there once when I was a kid, and everybody got drunk. What a surprise.
I still remember when it was all illegal. We had a sheriff from up there that had a jail where the cells were all below level.
Below the water level.
No, below ground level. So
Yeah.
they were all pot farms when it was all still illegal. He made a hell of a lot of money doing it.
That's
Is
crazy.
is it legal in Missouri and Arkansas yet?
Are you planning a trip?
Sort of. but when he did it, but I
tapped out the-
You basically scout out every state. It's like,
We're looking for a
can I go here? Is this okay?
Well, it's a sequel. You know, we've done the
Honey,
opium
we're
there.
going to Missouri.
it was more fun when it was illegal.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Well,
I love doing it. Here we go.
You should have had me writing some of your scripts for you. I could have helped.
I want to start by, first of all, this is huge for us.
Massive.
And what a massive honor it is to be sitting with the three of you looking at us. It's
Yeah,
so bizarre.
It's crazy.
we
Wild.
We're all wondering how we ended
I
up
know,
here.
I'm
no
sure.
doubt about
You've
it.
got questions for your staff.
And your
after this,
questions
I'll
are
bet.
only going to grow as to why you did it, the further we get into it. And we were saying earlier, 4 years ago, we started this podcast during COVID as a way to kind of connect with each other. And we ended up connecting with a lot of people out there. And for us, it's a real thrill to be here.
Did you ever get Trump?
We
Couldn't make his deal.
No, we're letting other people get him.
Yeah.
Well done, Will.
Thank
Very
you.
bravo.
But it is momentous for us, and especially during this time that we're in right now, to have your time. So we thank you for your time.
Yeah. This is
And-
huge.
and,
How do you all know each other? I'm kidding. That was my opening.
But it is.
I've worked for both of them a long time.
Yeah, I know.
It's not the first time that you three have combined forces to really kind of do what we all need you guys to do, which is keep you in office. But does it strike you as like, how is it even necessary to have half a president campaigning against the other guy? It is shocking to me that it takes the amount of effort to be competitive against someone who just, in my opinion, is just running for the wrong thing.
Well, a lot's changed. A lot's changed in how you communicate. A lot's changed in information, and so much disinformation out there. And you know, it's really, and it's hard to communicate even today when you do accomplish some improbable things.
Yeah.
And but he.
Well, I'll say to Mr. President, not to cut you off, but you have accomplished a lot of incredible things. And all three of you did in your presidencies, did amazing things. President Clinton, you left this country with a surplus, which is the first time it had been done in a number of years. President Obama, you passed the Affordable Care Act, really started to tackle social issues. President Biden, you look at your jobs numbers. You look at the way you're battling inflation, which has not been easy, and you've done it with a lot of headwind. And you've had a lot of people, a lot of voices, and we live in a time where there are a lot of voices. And my question is, considering the amazing work that all three of you have done, and especially what you're doing right now, President Biden, it's so difficult. The messaging is so tough to get the message out there because there is so much noise. What can you do?
Just keep talking about it. We just have to connect with people as to how they're being affected, why it's happening. And you know, one of the things that's really startles me is I'm optimistic. I'm genuinely optimistic.
Oh my.
And starting to break through. There's so much we have an opportunity to get done in ways that these guys set up and we're now going to be able to close down. But for example, you know, when we got elected, we were told we couldn't get anything done. We couldn't get anything passed. Well, we got a little thing called $1.3 billion to, rebuild our roads, highways, internet. We got the chips, and I've traveled around the world and said, why don't you come and invest in the United States of America? We got $650 billion invested offline. And on the CHIPS Act, we got about $56-70 billion. And they're employing people. And it takes a while for it to kick in now.
But are they, it seems like they're only watching certain things, reading certain things. Everybody's so siloed in the way in which they receive information. Could it be as simple as you've got very smart people to suggest what it is that you do, but like, could it be as simple as just like granting an hour to Sean Hannity and sit down and go, you tell me why the people who follow you think I'm not a good president, and just answer his questions, call his bluff. I mean, because the information, the facts are all there. It's particularly for that group of people. What you do is so much better suited than what the other agenda is talking about. So is it just a matter of just getting on that network? I don't get it.
First of all, you guys are exactly right. Joe's got an unbelievable record of accomplishment.
Stunning.
If you had told me that the unemployment rate after COVID was going to be back down to 4% or lower,
Yeah. Lowest in 50 years, isn't it?
absolutely. And if you had told me that 15 million jobs would have been created, that wages are higher now than they were pre-pandemic.
Yeah. And the most jobs created in history, correct?
In this 4-year period, yes.
That's unbelievable.
In this 4-year period, you've got African American unemployment, right, which is always higher than the general population, the lowest it's been since record keeping on the issue was taken. So Joe's got a strong message to tell. Jason, you're right. The media environment's changed. Yep. During Bill's presidency, during my presidency, you already had Fox and Rush Limbaugh and so forth, but it was still going through basic broadcast TV, and the average person was still kind of getting a mix. Some dissenting views. Part of what happened is that whole ecosystem moved onto social media. And once it's on social media and it's on an algorithm, and everybody's just getting their news selected essentially to suit their biases.
Right.
Penetrating that is real tough. It is very hard.
But what do you say to the people who say on the other side the same thing?
Well, I would argue that actually they've got some legitimate points in the sense that, there's a side that doesn't recognize conservative thought or, it isn't respectful to some traditional values that they care about and so forth. The difference, though, is, and Jason touched on it, there's a difference between facts and opinions.
Yeah.
And the one thing that our side still pretty much sticks to is the facts. You may not agree with whatever's in the New York Times or whatever's on MSNBC, but generally they're not going to just make stuff up.
No.
Correct.
And, look, I was in office in 2016, and I would have loved to pretend that the election outcome wasn't what it was.
Right.
That was painful.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? But we said, well, here are the facts, and there's a system of government that transcends, that is more important than whoever wins this particular election. We're going to abide by those facts and stick with democracy.
Right.
And that is a shift that's taking place. Now, last point I'd make, though, because you asked, Jason was asking, what do we do? I think Joe's point is right. and that is you just keep on showing up and delivering the message wherever you can, however you can. And if you talk to folks enough, all of us, Bill, Joe, myself, all have the experience of going to places where we may not be the most popular person. People may have some preconceived notions about Barack Hussein Obama, right?
Jeez.
But
Right.
if you show up and you make a human connection with people and you talk to them,
Right. It makes your job harder, does it not? Or I'm asking you, when you wake up in the morning and you have people who say that they're opposed to what you do or what you believe or whatever, and yet you still have to govern and serve them no matter what.
You
and
do.
it seems right. And the other guy, he has no problem throwing anybody who's not with him under the bus.
Look, when I got
And the
elected,
yes, sir.
when I got elected, I said I'm going to be president for everyone. We have put more money into red states than blue states.
Yes.
Not a joke.
Yeah.
Across the board. Across the board, there's more money total invested in the red states than the blue states because said I'm going to be president for everyone.
Do they know that?
Well, I think it's beginning, but whether it did or not, I have an obligation, it seems to me,
Yeah.
to take care of the country.
that's the job.
But it's beginning to sink in a little bit. And, you have, like, for example, did you ever think you'd see, these guys are great speakers, they're great presidents. Did you ever think you'd see a State of the Union like the two I've had?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frankly, a little shameful. As the newest American here.
Yeah.
Because I'm Canadian originally.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Canadian.
frowning?
Look, I've got a Canadian brother-in-law. Canadians are interesting because they sneak up on you.
Yeah.
You remember that movie, Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
Yeah.
Like they look like us, but you don't really know.
Wait, I saw you at the Raptors game back in the
No, actually, I love me some Canadians.
I'm always
messing
looking
with you.
behind me when Will and I are walking, just like certain other Canadians.
There is, and I don't mean to sound cynical with this, but there is a bit of a show element that the other guy seems to really relish in. He loves being and saying things that really attract, some views, some clicks. Like, he's a fun show to watch. I'm
like the
sure.
nicknames.
Now, I know you three are uniquely qualified in keeping things classy and elevated and keeping, respect around the office and the job, etc. But is there ever a thought of how one might be able to tack slightly towards the show to sort of combat that a little bit? And you're starting to do it just a little bit, President Biden, and I think it's really like people are loving it. You're sort of giving it to them a little bit. Now, I know that's not, some sort of contrived calculation you're making, but is there
response.
Yeah, exactly. But is there any thought
It's
to
working, though.
it's time to kind of pull the gloves off a little bit, and if they want a show, we'll give it to them?
Well, I'm not so sure about the show, but I think if they want the truth, we'll give it to them.
Yeah, amen.
Love
And
that.
just go straight at them. Look, like I said at the Gridiron dinner, this guy came up to me, asked me if we could borrow some money.
That's a great line.
And I told him, Donald, I can't help you. But all kidding aside, we can make jokes about it, but the end result is, look, we've all know every major world leader, and I think one of the reasons Barack asked me to be vice president, I had some foreign policy experience, and I've known these folks for a long time. I go to all these conferences that we all know, and Bill just came back from one on his own. Great help to us in the Caribbean. And, almost every single time, not a joke, guys, whether it's the G7, the G20, all these heads of state, they'll wait till they can get me alone and grab my arm and say, you've got to win. Because, quote, my democracy is at stake.
Yeah.
Their democracy.
Yeah.
Let me, since I'm not directly involved, I'll give you an example that I just had. Not very long ago, I went to Prague, Czechoslovakia, to celebrate the anniversary of the decision to expand NATO and include the Czech Republic and Hungary and Poland. And they know what it's like to live without democracy. They know what it's like not to be free. They are adamantly in favor of President Biden's support for Ukraine. And they think we did the right thing to expand NATO. and they know it's Russia's fault, not ours, what's happened in Ukraine. So it was amazing. All of them came to me and said, please tell me you're not going to put us through all this again.
Yeah.
Please tell me America's not going to run away from the world again. We need you. And in Poland, which is a very conservative country, culturally, religiously, they just voted overwhelmingly to throw out the old party because they thought they were too close to the Russians and put in the government that you dealt with when Hillary was Secretary of State, because they support a free Ukraine. I just showed up, man. I didn't go there to do they like me because I was with them in the beginning, but they are worried about tomorrow.
I think Bill's points and Joe's point's important. You know, look, we all know America's, not always lived up to its ideals. We got our warts, we got, issues. But we do set the tone around the world. And part of what happened before Joe got elected, during that 4-year period, folks around the world started feeling as if, the ideals of human rights, freedom, democracy, that nobody was looking after that. Nobody was promoting that. Nobody was minding it. And people like Putin became emboldened. And you saw the Chinese and even countries that were democracies start backsliding because they do still look to America as an example of what they hope a multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, big country can look like. That maybe people can still get along and act decently toward each other, even if they don't all look the same and don't all talk the same and all come from the same place. That's what makes America exceptional. And if you start getting into a situation in which we don't believe our own Declaration of Independence, if we're not acting on behalf of the things that we say we stand for, that has ripple effects all around the globe. And these guys are exactly right. I just came back from Europe, and every meeting I had, the only thing people were concerned about was what's going to happen in this next election because they understand what the stakes are.
Were you surprised? I'm sorry. Just on that point, President Obama, were you surprised during those 5 years of the last administration how quickly that protection and passion for democracy was diluted? How primed the country was to just sort of dissolve and get lazy with it and let it go? I will say, and Bill saw this begin to happen during his presidency, it then accelerated during my presidency. I have been surprised that there haven't been guardrails inside the Republican Party. Trump didn't surprise me.
No.
I mean,
the natural conclusion.
No, I mean, you watch Trump's campaign, you watch his career.
Yeah, he's never changed.
If you know anybody he's
a huckster.
I mean, he comes from New York. There's nobody in New York who does business with him or lend him money. He's not considered a serious guy here. But I was surprised he was elected, but I wasn't surprised in terms of his behavior. I did expect, and I suspect, Bill and Joe, you'd agree with this, that there would be some folks in the Republican Party who would say, no, you can't go that far. You can't start praising Putin and saying that his intelligence is better than the U.S. intelligence agencies.
Were you surprised that there were 60-some million people that bought it and voted for him and then did it again?
Well, I think that we can't discount the fact that the world's changing quick. And when the world changes quick, people get scared and they get confused. And we had a historic recession in 2008, 2009, where the financial system almost collapses. We end up having, we'd obviously already gone through 9/11. You got globalization. You have suddenly people feeling as if they're losing manufacturing jobs. some of the towns that in Illinois where I was representing, Arkansas where Bill was working, you see people starting to feel like they're losing status. Suddenly, you've got the internet and social media, and people are being flooded with all kinds of stuff, and they don't know how to sort it all out.
Yeah.
And when people get scared and concerned, then the appeal of somebody who says, "I'm going to make it like it used to be, where you don't have to worry about it," and men are men and women know their place, and that message can sometimes have some appeal.
Look, again, I love this country. I am so.
You better, Canadian.
It is the best country in the world.
Well, you've only been to 2 countries, but it's
He watches CNN International, though.
It's true. Because you know
been to
what?
Canada
No,
and the
I
US.
agree with that. And by the way, it's a phenomenal country when it's at its best.
Well,
it
the
is
rest of the
best.
world looks to us.
Absolutely.
No matter what you say, no matter how you characterize it.
Yes.
There's not a single country in the world that does not think we're the single most consequential country in the world. Not a single one.
Including our enemies.
Including our enemies. I mean,
Right.
across the board.
Especially.
If there's
Across the board.
if there's a problem around the world, if there's a natural disaster, if there is a crisis, nobody's calling Moscow or Beijing expecting them to help.
Right.
No.
Right.
Everybody's looking to Washington.
But beyond that, here's the deal. Look, if you think about it, when Trump got elected, he said he's going to go America first, America alone. Look at who he talks about his best friends being, Kim Jong-un, North Korea. And I'm serious.
Jack Nicklaus. Hey, listen, he won 2 golf championships last week.
Well, by the way,
regular championship and the senior.
I told him when he won. I told him he came into the upstairs oval
Yeah.
and we bumped into each other. He said something about playing golf. I said, "Look, I'll give you 2 strokes if you carry your own bag."
Hey, do you know
couldn't
this?
make it.
President Biden, do you know that Kim Jong-un, he had 18 holes in one once? Yeah.
absolutely.
So we're not far off that with this guy.
I'm looking forward to your guys' merch coming out. Go ahead.
Do you guys have an apparatus, a mechanism whereby you can contact one another like this without anybody connecting?
Like a bat phone?
Well, do you?
It's called
Yes.
Can
called
you
a
call-
smartphone.
Yeah, but-
Do you have one of these?
But I mean,
Continue.
Can you do that?
Yes.
Great. Okay.
You guys text each other?
Yeah. I mean, like emojis
no,
and stuff.
He does. I don't text much, but we pick up the phone and talk to each other.
I love that.
Do you really?
That's so cool.
With no one else listening and no one else connecting the call.
Well, we don't. We can't be
does-
sure of that.
does-
We're not
yeah.
positive of the cyber side.
But does President Obama, like, he picks up and he goes, hang on, I'm going to add President Clinton?
Yeah.
And
I'm going to merge calls.
That's a little too advanced.
Right.
Okay.
You might need a 25-year-old aide to help on the merger thing. And I'll
I love
cut somebody
it just,
off.
I mean, 1 + 1 + 1 makes 10 with you guys. So I just,
I want to
glad
know,
you-
like, do you all miss something specific about the holding office? Obviously, except for you, because you're in office. But do you guys miss something?
I miss not having office.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
look. Everybody talks about Air Force One,
Yeah.
Sure.
Marine One.
Yeah.
It's pretty convenient. I won't lie. But I'll tell you the thing I miss the most is, you remember those music concerts I used to do at
Yeah.
you can basically invite anybody. And
They'll come.
you have this concert. And I mean, we got, Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney.
Everybody will show up, yeah.
They'll show up.
I bet they'll still take
They
care
can't
of
laugh.
And they've got they do these rerehearsals the night before a lot of times, and you can
He's
kind of
down there
sneak
singing.
down and you could just sit there
That's
and
so
watch
cool.
Mick Jagger practicing
so
with
cool.
B.B. King or something on a blues night. I do miss that.
That's so good.
I miss the fact they don't play a song when you walk in a room anymore.
Sure.
Oh, we
I mean,
should have done that today.
I was lost for 3 weeks after I left office. But let me tell you something serious. This is one reason that I so badly want President Biden to be reelected. What I really miss is the job. Not doing it. I'm glad. I believe in the 2-term limit strongly.
Yeah.
But what I learned was, on the worst day, when nothing was going right and problems were everywhere, there was still something you could do that would make somebody's life better.
I love that.
There is no job like that on earth.
I love that.
And I want somebody
Who appreciates
that
that.
I trust to make the most of that every day.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because there'll be bad days no matter who gets elected. But he'll get up and he'll start thinking about that. and I think his opponent will be thinking about
Himself.
who I can get even with, who I can send away, who I can manage.
And his judgment.
Joe Biden will make the best of the bad days.
And the
I
team
love
that you have assembled, and your comfort with deferment, you're I don't know. For me personally, I love leaders that have the confidence to hire those that they respect, that might make them a little nervous,
And also not to think that
you're
every
the
idea
smartest
you're
guy
gonna,
about
right,
it.
Yeah.
that you're going to have every. We had leaders like that in the middle part of the last century, who were put into government by presidents of old. And they made a lot of decisions that they thought that they were right about, and blah, blah, and they were terrible people. And when that happens, when you think that you've got all the answers, is the moment you don't.
like Ron Klain, bringing us out of COVID. Like it's just and on and on and on. The way in which that you've surrounded yourself with the absolute best this country has to offer.
I made a commitment. I have an administration that looked like America.
Yeah.
I have more women in my cabinet. I've appointed more black circuit court judges than every other president combined in American history. I've kept my commitment about putting a black woman on the Supreme Court. I've had an opportunity to go out and get the best people. And by the way, I sometimes pick the phone and ask these guys who they think are the best people.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for people that most of all, though, not just are good, but care about what they're doing.
Whereas the other guy is only hiring people that won't talk back. And that's like
Well, mine talk back.
Yeah, love it.
What are those things? What are those things that you look back on? Because the other guy has, as we know, no capacity for this. And President Obama, I'll start with you. What are the things that you think about that keep you there? Are there things that you look back and you go, "Geez, I wish that had worked out a little bit better"? And not necessarily regrets, but things that you would wish had.
Handing off the baton
sure.
in 2016,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
But I think Bill's point is the right one, which is when you're sitting in that office, you are essentially a relay runner. You've taken a bunch of problems from the previous president, and you're working through them as best you can. You're running the best race you can, and then you hand it off. During that time where you've got the baton in your hand and you're running, if you are focused on every day, can I make things a little bit better? Because you're not going to make them perfect. There are too many problems. They're too hard. If you can make them a little better, then a lot of people are helped. So the Affordable Care Act wasn't perfect. We didn't get everybody health insurance, but we
That
got
was a big deal.
tens of millions of people.
Really big deal.
We got tens of millions of people.
You can say the real quote on the show. Yeah.
It was a big fucking deal.
we got tens of millions of people health insurance, and my successor tried to kill it. Didn't succeed because it was starting to actually work. You get it passed on to Joe, and what does he do? He then takes what's already in place and builds on it. Expands the subsidies so that more people can start getting on it. Expands Medicaid so that more people can get on it. And so with all the changes he made, healthcare in America is still not perfect. There's still folks who are having a tough time. But what has happened is that even more people have gotten coverage. And now Joe caps insulin at $35, which means that people who've got diabetes and really desperately need help, they're not getting price gouged. And he's negotiating with Big Pharma to make sure that drug prices are affordable the way they are in Canada. And
Thank you. I'll take credit for that.
And so what you get are these incremental steps.
Right.
You're never to answer your question, Will, you're never satisfied when you leave because there's always going to be a bunch of stuff that's undone. Right. But I couldn't have done the Affordable Care Act if Bill hadn't made the efforts he did around the children's health insurance program.
Right.
And Joe then builds on us. And that's what you're hoping for each and every time. And let me say this, last point I'll make. It's not always just Democrats. George Bush and I had a huge number of differences. But he set up this program called PEPFAR that provided drugs and support and help for people in sub-Saharan Africa and around the world who had HIV in the midst of the HIV/AIDS epidemic. And because of his program, millions of lives, tens of millions of lives were saved.
That's a fact.
And we then built on that program. So it doesn't just have to be a partisan thing. Part of what you want, though, is somebody with Joe's decency and basic focus on the American people and who have a sense of responsibility to say, all right, I've inherited some stuff. Some of it's good. Some of it are problems. What more can I do? And that's the attitude Joe has.
So then what are the issues coming up that people are focusing on that you believe are the wrong things, or they may be the right things, and what should they be focusing on?
I think they should be focusing on a couple things. Number one, we're going to, in the second term, God willing, we're going to make sure that we do something about gun violence in this country.
Yes.
The idea that we allow assault weapons to be sold in magazines with 100 rounds is just bizarre.
Yeah.
Well, President Biden, I'm so glad to hear you say that, because that was going to be my other question, which is the Democrats never said we want to take your guns away.
Absolutely not.
You never said that.
No,
You said,
by the way,
we got to
look,
be smart about
You
what's
just
going on.
don't need to kill a deer with an AR-15.
The Second Amendment,
Right.
which when I taught law school, the Second Amendment was an absolute ever. You weren't able to have a cannon when you were,
Right.
decide the liberty is watered with the blood of patriots. I mean, that's a bunch of crap.
Well, it kind of brings us back to
President, we have a listener question that he already knows about, that if you want to read it to him, it's a listener call-in question.
uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is unusual, but I think I know who it's from.
We have a caller here. Mr. President, I'm assuming he's talking about Mr. President Biden here. You have done so much for this country in the past 3 short years. You've been the architect of an incredible bipartisan infrastructure deal. Under your leadership, America has been running a white-hot economy. Inflation has been plummeting, and unemployment remains at an all-time historic low. But like so many Americans, I dread the possibility of having to listen to the grating voice of a narcissist man-child on our airwaves for God knows how many more years. He's a bully that can barely manage his own personal own life. I have a feeling this is about me. Has the strangest tan. No, that's Will. And he takes golf way more seriously than any adult man should. So, Mr. President, my question is: now that you're sitting directly across from Will Arnett, is there nothing you or Congress can do to get him to shut his big fat mouth? I'll take my answer off the air. That's Justin T. from New York City.
Justin Thoreau.
Justin Thoreau, sleeveless.
We don't know if it's Thoreau.
Justin, there are certain powers that are beyond the presidency. And that's well beyond my presidential power.
I asked you, President Biden, last time if you'd make me golf czar, and you never answered me.
I had to call Trump, and he wasn't sure.
I want to know, like, go
Well,
ahead.
I just wanted to say we're kind of back where we started, which was the whole idea of the messaging and what's good for people. And we're all so hung up on, are you Democrat? Are you blue or red?
Yeah, but that's what campaigns are for. Look,
That's right.
the average voter
Yeah.
wants to do the right thing. But how much bandwidth they have for politics? I mean, they got to pay the bills. They got to take care of the kids' health care. They got to make sure the school business is all right if you have children who are school age. I mean, there's just so many things they have to do. That's our job. That's partly why we're here. That's why you're doing a public service by asking us questions and letting that's what campaigns are for.
It seems
That's
like
what you have to use them for.
it seems like they're sort of making it sort of this binary choice between social issues or pocketbook issues. And if you're going to go for the social issues, then you're going to take a hit on the pocket. If you're going to vote for pocketbook issues, you're going to lose all the social. It's like,
But that's not. But here's the truth. The truth is, almost all the rational positions on social issues and on those issues that are like unions, for example, they all, in fact, grow the economy if you do the right thing. They grow the economy.
The economy grew under Bill, it grew under Joe, it grew under me. And the reason it grows is when everybody's got a stake, when everybody's making money,
morale.
when people are getting paid decent wages, they have decent benefits, they feel better, they go shopping. They might even listen to this podcast, and so
they got to be pretty bored.
but the point is that American economic history shows whenever prosperity is broadly based, and all of us ran campaigns with this basic premise: that if you give everybody a fair shot, everybody does better.
So this whole idea that we got to somehow make it great again is a fallacy. It's
Yeah.
such a joke.
Well, you gotta fill 'em
because
with
we've never been in better.
fear.
And leads me my next question. Die Hard, is it a Christmas movie? I'm kidding.
President Biden, if you could resurrect one person from the past to come hang out in the Oval Office, you update them on the current state of things. What's their advice? Who would you bring in to give you some perspective on?
It'd be a hard choice for me between Lincoln,
Yeah.
because we are such a divided nation, and how he dealt with it, and possibly Roosevelt. But look, I think the country is in much better shape than we're talking about it. I don't mean financial. It is. When we have the best economy in the world, the strongest one in the world, period.
Yeah.
Right now, okay? Everyone, if you know all of how China's going to eat our lunch, notice who China's coming to talk to all the time now, right? They want the idea that Russia was going. I want to tell you a quote. I got a call from Dr. Kissinger before he died, about 10 days before he died. And I asked me to give him a call. And I called and he said the following thing. He said, not since Napoleon has Europe not looked over its shoulder at Russia with dread. And then you guys came along, you strengthened NATO, you expanded it, and that's changed. You've changed it all. Well, this guy's changed it all, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care. And that's what the rest of the world looks at us and says, do you have any interest in our concern? And can you imagine us being able to avoid a European war? Can you imagine us why the hell we set up NATO in the first place? Can you imagine it's just, he has no sense of anything.
Well, he doesn't believe in anything. We know that, right? There's no.
Well, he believes in one thing. He believes in selling what he's going to benefit him personally.
Right.
Well, and I do think that there's one other thing. You were talking about, Jason, social issues versus economic issues, and why is it that sometimes things look good, but people don't feel good all the time? Part of it is, as I said before, things are changing. Folks are nervous. But underneath all the polarization that people are getting through TikTok and social media and cable news, Bill's point about the average person just wanting to do the right thing, they actually don't want folks arguing all the time. They're really not looking for sort of a death match, on every single issue. They'd like to see people be treating each other decently.
Right. They don't want to go to Walmart and argue with their neighbor about whether they're a Democrat
or if you're at a little league, right?
Yeah,
or you're sitting at your kid's soccer game,
Right.
Yeah.
and you got the parent next to you. You want to talk about kids and soccer, and I do think that underneath all this demonization and anger and that people make money off of, and that gets a lot of clicks. People do want to see some decency and common sense, and I think Joe represents that, and his administration represents that. And if we can break through, all of us doing the work of a campaign, just to remind folks of what Lincoln called the better angels of our nature, then I think we're going to be okay. But the challenge we've got is anger and resentment, and calling people names gets more attention. And we do have to. One thing we do have to. I'm not sure, Jason, that in order to do the show, the performance you talked about, that it has to be pugilistic, that it has to be hitting the other guy in the nose. Yeah. It does have to be entertaining. You do have to be able to, Bill, Joe, me, when I'm doing okay. It's about telling stories that people can relate to, because people can't relate to facts and numbers and figures as much as they can relate to stories and
to personal experience.
And personal experience.
Identify.
That's what people relate to, and that performing by telling people stories, reminding them who they are, what family means to him, what it means to struggle and overcome. Joe, what he had to overcome in terms of getting where he was. Bill, a master storyteller, talking about what it was like growing up, single mom, Arkansas. And those are the things that really, I think, resonate with people. And if we can get more of that instead of the kind of name calling that we're seeing out here, I think we'll do okay.
It's the way you let people know you understand what their concerns are. Look, I mean, think about it. Everybody's gone through some tough times. But my dad used to have an expression, swear to God. He said, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's being able to look your kid in the eye and say everything's going to be okay, and there's a shot of it. That's what the three of us have tried to do. We've tried to, if you can earn $1 billion and you do it legally, great. I'm a capitalist, fine. Just start paying your damn taxes.
Yeah.
You know what a billionaire is paying tax? By the way, we have just one example, the extreme. We have 1,000 billionaires in America right now. If they paid at 25% instead of 8.2% what they pay now, just 25%, it raised $400 million over the next $1 billion over the next 10 years. We could take care of child care, which increases productivity. We could take care of elder care, which increases productivity.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, we're going to
Screw 25. Why don't they pay 40?
Well, look,
look,
here's the deal.
That's what everyone else is paying.
Now who's Canadian?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But I'm just making the point that you don't have to be extreme in anything to get this done.
And don't forget that Trump's dad once said, "Get that family out of 14G." Hey, listen. If this comes out and it's helpful at all, is there a chance that the three of us could be on a bill of your designation, President Biden? Maybe a special $250 bill or something?
Something like that.
Oh, I
With
see.
our dumb faces on it.
Yeah, I think it should be.
Think about it. Don't give us an answer. We'll see you at the inauguration.
$3 bill. $3 bill.
Thank you.
Well, I've been called as queer as a $3 bill. But anyway.
Honestly, I listen, we've taken up way too much of your time. You gentlemen are very, very busy. We thank you.
Really, really
America
cool.
thanks
Thank you.
you.
Yeah,
It's
so
just
much.
moving to be
Thanks,
in front
guys.
of the
Thanks
three
for
of you.
doing
And
this.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Really
for this.
important.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Had a great time.
Thank you.
Have fun tonight.
Thanks.
All right, guys.
Wow.
Oh boy,
That was cool.
That was.
that happened right there. I'm very proud of us for keeping it together, keeping it
How
classy.
are you feeling? How are you guys feeling about it? That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
What
I
just happened?
feel like I'm in good hands, right? When I'm
Yeah.
around those guys.
Absolutely.
Boy. Anyway, that was a real privilege for the three of us.
I agree.
I hope our listeners enjoyed that as much as we did, irrespective of your political affiliation. Being able, three knuckleheads like us sitting across from three leaders of the free world is nothing the three of us ever expected we'd be able to do. So
Yeah, absolutely.
thank you guys as listeners
Historical.
for enabling that.
Yeah.
How about the
Agree.
Secret Service people on the way in and on the way
And
out?
on the way,
Incredible.
Sean was disappointed because he was under the impression that we were going to have a visit to the Secret Circus, and he thought that was the thing. He thought that there was a secret, and so he thought.
I bought peanuts. I got.
and he said he wanted to see bears riding bicycles. He wanted to see.
I'm like, I could see that at home for free. Wait, so let me ask you guys: Were you nervous? Because at the beginning of it, I remember saying, I thought I'd be more nervous, but because they're so relaxed and I feel like, they just speak so free. You feel like you connect with them. That the nerves went away a little bit.
They're very good at disarming the folks that are sitting across from them.
They were very
awesome.
chillaxed. I found them to be very chillaxed, and that's how I would describe.
I
them
was,
to
but then when I wasn't talking, I was nervous. When I was listening to you guys, I was like,
But I gotta say, I felt pretty chillaxed. Like I know, you know
If
what I
you
mean.
say it one more time, I'm going to hang up. Okay, I'm going to shut the
Just
computer.
want it back.
right
I
here.
want it back in the. I want
By the way,
people to start
I think it
using
was you that
earnestly.
explained to me what the Netflix and chill phrase is. I never knew what the hell that meant. It
Yeah.
annoyed me quite a bit. But then, was it you that told me it's code for having sex? Is that right?
well,
I don't know if I
Netflix
want to
and
get into
chill.
more like the fact that you're a dad or that we're back in 2017. I don't know which one I want to hit first. You know what I mean?
yeah.
By the way, have you guys heard this band, Public Enemy?
Fuck me, man. You're killing me.
This is a group.
You are killing me. I do want to say with the presidents, it was incredible. You know, I mentioned this too, which was that the one thing that you can't deny, no matter where you are on the sort of political spectrum, if you will, is that under President Biden, the jobs numbers have been incredible, and I think that he has earned the moniker, Joe Jobs.
Joe Jobs.
He is
Joe
to
Jobs,
me.
that's
He's
great.
Joe Jobs.
That is
right?
great.
That's great.
Yeah.
Joe
Jobs.
Jobs.
Yeah.
Joey Jobinstein.
Sure.
Sure.
Whatever you want, Joey. Whatever
Joey
you
Jobs.
want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe Jobs is great. I love that Joe Jobs.
Well,
He is.
because
Jobs.
what? Unemployment is at a 50-year low,
Yeah.
right? I think we
Yeah.
covered.
The economy is at an all-time high.
It really
Correct.
is.
Meaning
Yeah.
good.
Inflation is going to work itself out, but that's not his fault at all. That was
No.
something that the COVID and all that other stuff. I'm not smart enough to describe, but
No, and we never went into that recession that they thought would happen, and that a lot of that was due to supply chain stuff issues, et cetera, et cetera. So we're definitely back on. But the one thing that you can't argue with is the jobs. Like it's
Joe
just
Jobs.
irrefutable, right? So
Right.
again, I don't care
Manufacturing
where
is
you
back.
fall. I'm not saying. He's better than your guy or your guy, whatever. I mean, he is. But what I'm saying
but
is,
whether you're Republican or Democrat, you need a job, and he's
Yeah.
the guy that's bringing
yeah,
it.
yeah, because
Yeah.
he's Joe Jobs.
So you
'Cause
have
it's Joe
so
Jobs.
you have Obama and Clinton, and then we used this one before, but
I
it's
know.
But
pretty
what is it?
beautiful.
But go ahead, Sean.
What is
and Biden.
Biden, Joe Jobs.
Smart. Less. Smart. Less.
SmartLess is 100% organic and artisanally handcrafted by Rob Armjarv, Bennett Barbaco, and Michael Granteri.
Smart. Less.